Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Highland Seedlings. I know it's been a long time since we've had a tour like this. And that's because we've been busy and it's actually gone really well. And I spent what energy I had on growing food and teaching people and running tours and things like that, rather than on doing this sort of thing. So I apologise for that. But I thought you might like to see what we're up to in winter. It's a beautiful day today, the last day of the year. It's not a cloud in the sky, birds everywhere, chicken and ducks are happy. We're not drowning in mud, and that's pretty good. There's still loads and loads of food growing everywhere. We've never managed this before, and I'm really proud of that. We sourced most of our Christmas dinner straight from the garden, and that was both unexpected and just absolutely delightful. Most of the crops that are going strong now were sowed in early summer, so like June maybe. And then there are crops that are still quite small in the grow houses that were sowed in August, and hopefully they'll come into their own in the spring. Hi chicken! Hello, you come say hello. Oh, not come say hello. So yeah, for the first time ever, we've managed to grow successively over the course of the year. And we've had food from the garden every day since April or so, March for some of the salads. Up here at 57 degrees north, and that's absolutely astonishing. We've learned so much this year. We've learned how to grow more with less effort, how to make the most of the time and energy we've got, how to build a system of food production. It sounds too grand, but that's kind of what it is. A system of food production that works for how we eat, our microclimate, the space and our needs and our abilities, and that's absolutely astonishing. We never set out to grow this into a business, but somehow that's what's happened. And Highland Seedlings now sells seedlings, teaches courses where you learn how to grow, runs chicken courses where you get to do this. They've been really popular and I really hope to do more of them because I enjoy them a great deal. We started to offer garden design services, just small little online things, unless you're nearby, where we kind of help you look at your space differently and help you think about what and how you might like to grow, or what and how you might be able to grow where you are, with your own time and life constraints and things like that. And that's absolutely magnificent. We'd never set out to do this. There was no business plan or anything like that. And it's allowed us to support and subsidize lots of other projects, and that's been really nice. We're going to build a free food garden up the front by the lane, for folks, local folks, to just help themselves to food, and we've raised enough money to do that, so I'm very pleased with how that's gone as well, and that makes me very happy and fulfilled and content. So this New Year's Eve is quite different from last year, when I was mostly lying down in the dark, not quite sure who I was or what I was doing, and this feels good and easy and right, so we're going to do more of that this year. So without much ado, let's wander around the plot and let's see what's what. One of the things I'm really pleased with this year is how we have used and expanded our composting. We've now got 2 of these compost bays. They're made from pallets, which we get through our heating suppliers. We've got a biomass heater, and the pellets come on these pallets. So we're finally reusing them, and 3 of them are bolted together, and then the front one moves so we can actually get to the compost. And we add most of our veg scraps, the chicken and rabbit manure, any other sort of garden greens, cardboard, anything we've got. There's a bit of, here we've got potato peelings, bit of newspaper, straw and wood shavings from the rabbits, Lots of lovely rabbit poo, eggshells, just a bit of everything, and it breaks down into this fantastic rich soil. We don't turn it, we don't do anything to it, but it's working. I'm sure we could do this more effectively, but within our limited time and energy, this works just fine, so that's what we're going to keep doing. We also grew our pumpkins in here in the sides, and that worked really, really well, except when it came to ripening, because this is sheltered by a hedge, and they just didn't get enough sun in the late autumn, because the sun is too low and doesn't come above this hedge. So next year we're going to grow our pumpkins up there somewhere, but we might grow other things in here earlier in the year to use up some of the heat that this compost generates. This one is filled about 2/3 with beautiful, perfect compost that I can't wait to spread on the beds. The chickens have been really helpful in this as well, because they love scrabbling in the compost and they go in and help themselves, and that's been wonderful.
This back here is this year's garlic bed. Last year we grew 60 heads of garlic in this bed there, and this year we're planning 180.
The polytunnels aren't massively busy, but for once we've actually got winter vegetables in here, and that's very, very pleasing.
These plants were all sowed in June and in August, and they went in after we cleared the tomatoes. We left that quite late this year, I can't quite remember when. But anyway, they left in afterwards, and we've already been harvesting some. This is going to be a red cabbage that's just minding its time until it's ready and getting bigger. And this, I think, is a cavolo and will grow quite big. We've also got some lettuce still in here. This is oak leaf lettuce, and we've been harvesting leaves of this already. It's really nice to have that fresh this time of year. Our big new polytunnel, well, new, we put it up in the summer, but new this year. Our big new polytunnel is full of seedlings still. These are just the stragglers that we haven't managed to put out anywhere. And we always keep some back just in case some of them don't make it. And there's also lots of food growing in the ground here. This is the last of our leftover seedlings. We're still trying to find room for them, but our polytunnels are pretty full at the moment. Still, I'm sure when there's a dry day we'll find more room. This is an onion set left over, and we'll replant that, and there's some peas that have just started up again. This is one of the last seedling trays. There's chards, there's some carrots, there's some small onions there, bits of lettuce, bits of kale, bits of cabbage, and hopefully they'll have a home soon. And back here in the ground is lots of chard. There's some cabbages in there. You can see this one's growing quite big. More chard and spinachy things. And down here there's a bit of beetroot in there as well. Various leafy greens. I'm quite happy there. Red Russian dotted here, there and everywhere. We just love that stuff. That was our favourite discovery from this past year. Yeah, there's more red cabbage here. Some of it eaten by slugs, as you can see, but the new leaves are coming in really, really nicely, so we've just left them and they'll fend for themselves. More red Russian, you are absolutely wonderful. That's one of the really nice looking red cabbages, and you can see it's just starting to form a little head here. This is a baby red Russian, tasty, tasty salad leaves at this stage, also beautiful new leaves coming in now. And this is a baby regular cabbage. You can see the couple of holes like there are in this one, but they're doing all right, not too bad at all. There's also quite a bit of chard in this tunnel, Swiss chard, both this kind and the more colourful kind. And they're happy. They've got some holes in them, but all the little leaves, like this one here, are coming in really, really nicely. And I think they'll continue to crop well during the spring. This year is the triangular bed new this year, and what you can see here are some pretty straggly looking leeks, but don't be deceived by that. We've been harvesting them for months now and they're very, very tasty. They're very near these tyres full of carrots. We've harvested most of them now.
This is the last tray of carrots, the last lot of tyres. We emptied one for our Christmas dinner, but there's still some left in here. Shush! I'm gonna have a wee root up. And I've just spotted this beast. But I think it's parsnip. Let's see about carrots. Oh, tiny baby carrot. I'll put it back. The area that's got the most food in, and the area that we're harvesting the most, is this top part of the garden where we build 3 long beds early in the year. It feels like they've been here forever. I can't believe they haven't. And they've cropped without a break since we first built them, and they've only had one helping up manure. So once these winter crops are gone, our task is to spread more compost and manure so that we can have the same thing last year. So I'll show you around and show you what we've got here. As you can see, this bit behind me here looks a lot neater because we've weeded there quite recently. There's a bucket somewhere behind me. Because we've weeded there quite recently, and we haven't bothered in the other parts. This is something on the list for days like this, winter days when it's dry and warmish, the birds are singing, and you enjoy spending some time outside. I do most of my weeding sitting on the floor, so that's something that's quite hard to do in the winter because it's just so wet. So I'm hoping to get myself some waterproof dungarees, so I can do that a bit more as well. But even where there's weeds, it's mostly grass, and it doesn't really affect the plants. They're still happy, and there is more than enough food here for us and the pets.
So let's look at some of the plants we've got growing here. This is our original red Russian kale. It's gone to seed, but we're still harvesting those leaves and they're still really sweet and tasty. I would very much recommend growing this one. This here is a red cabbage. We harvested another one for our Christmas dinner. This here I think is one of the remaining asparagus kale. They got eaten by butterflies, but they all bounced back. This is a very sad looking broccoli, but if you look closely, there's lots of tiny broccoli heads growing there. This is a lovely Swiss chard that we've been harvesting for months, and it's bouncing back and it's growing lots of tasty little leaves. Here are more of these asparagus kales. You can see we've been harvesting them up along the stem, and look how happy they are and how well they've bounced back. They were almost totally gone because of the butterflies, but now there's a veritable forest of them. Over here are some Brussels sprouts, both the green ones and the purple ones. They're nowhere near ripe yet, so we didn't have any of them for Christmas, but I have high hopes that we might be able to eat some for Easter. And you can see there's little Brussels growing on the stem. I believe This is a kind of radicchio. It doesn't quite look like what you might expect, but it's really pretty, isn't it? I love those mottled speckled colours. We've not yet harvested them, but I think the hearts are now big enough. These lovely plants are Cavallo Nero, and hopefully they're going to grow into big, strong chard trees. Over here are some sad looking but very tasty kohlrabi that are still growing into bulbs, and we've really enjoyed harvesting and eating them all year. They've done really well. And finally, there's this really, really beautiful purple curly kale. I don't know what variety it is, but isn't it just the prettiest little plant? It's really, really tasty too, raw or cooked, and we love it a great deal.
So thank you very much for coming on this tour with us, supporting us all year round and just being really cheerful. I've loved the experience of sharing what we do with the wider world, and it's so nice to hear your comments and thoughts and ideas. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from Archie, who is too busy to say goodbye to you, and we hope you have a happy and vegful new year.